Welcome to the Game On podcast. Tonight, Adelaide get the job done, but now it's time for finals. Port Adelaide send off Kenny Bokey and Chad Corns in style. And let the finals begin. It's game on for 8 teams this weekend.
No,
next weekend, sorry.
Yes.
Welcome to the Game On podcast. My name's Pete, once again joined in the studio here with Malcolm. Malcolm, how has your week been? Apologies to our loyal listeners for last week. Still, I've been a little bit under the weather again.
Yeah, a few things happening in the world, as we know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look, mixed week. I won't go into that. I'm a bit dark on a couple of things.
Yes.
I just think overall now, I'm not a fan of this week off in terms of, one, I don't think it gives the top 4 the advantage what it should.
Yep.
And the other thing, now you win, you then have another week off. I just think
there's a little bit too much.
System doesn't favour. I actually reckon the 1 week off and then teams through 4 to 8 now, just to win those games, I actually reckon you're a lot better placed than you used to be.
Yep.
So I think if you're going to have a week off, it should be between the prelim and the grand final in case someone gets concussed in the prelim.
That was going to be my next question to you, is the week off better placed before the grand final rather than before the final series? So, all right, mate, let's get into some hot topics. Let's get into Around the Grounds.
Around the Grounds.
All right, a little bit later on, we'll talk some cricket, the SANFL, and also some basketball, considering that is back on our screens as well. But let's start off with some AFL hot topics, considering we do have this week off at the moment, mate. We'll talk about Adelaide and Port Adelaide in a little bit more depth later on. Let's get started. You've already flagged straight away the pre-finals bye.
Yep.
Would you be a fan of potentially a wildcard weekend to give, say, the top 6 teams that week off? Or are you still in the same
I'm mixed
boat?
on that. 8 out of 18, I reckon's about right to play finals.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, you can argue, well, this year, Western Bulldogs still could have won it. We all know how good they potentially
and
were.
Sydney could have been in
with Goulden back and Grundy now dominating.
Which
and
would have made it
Heaney.
exciting.
So in that, you can say there's an argument there. So, yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. We'll talk about that over the next couple of weeks anyway. But Gold Coast finally making their long-awaited finals debut after a pretty impressive game last night, considering we're recording just a night later than usual.
Look, they should have made top 4. They blew it. Look, I don't think they had much luck in the umpiring department against Port, but they still should have finished top 4 with the draw they had.
Yes,
right from the start. Yeah,
are they the most dangerous team outside of the top 4, or do you still think maybe Hawthorn?
I'm probably more Hawthorn, but or GWS. But the other thing now, they've got to go and play Fremantle, 54,000 screaming over there.
Mm-hmm.
I almost would have rather played GWS. I know their record against GWS is terrible.
Yep.
You're only going to be playing 15,000. Your supporters could have got there easier.
And you're going 45 minutes by playing up the coast, aren't you?
It's
down the coast.
But anyway, look, I'd love to see them progress, but I can't see them beating.
Is this a case of this almost? And we'll talk about Adelaide in a minute. Is that this is their year to go? Yep, we belong where we belong, and now it's time to build on top of it.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And look, they get. I'm trying to think, the kid from the academy, Auckland's brother, in next year, as well, and all that. And Jane, someone like Ned Walter hasn't kicked on enough yet. People forget he's a big guy. He's still only 21. I still think him and Ethan Reid will kick on, and
King
Leon
now
Bardo
and King up forward actually starting to show some form, makes them a pretty scary prospect, doesn't it?
So I think there's still huge progression. They should make finals the next 3 or 4 years and really be right amongst it.
Absolutely. Mate, I thought we'd start off with Gold Coast in a positive light. We didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, but it obviously has been the talk of the AFL and why the decision on the Isaac Rankin homophobic slur came about. And look, now that we've had a bit of time to digest it a little bit, think about it a little bit more logically, yeah, I think there's some scope here, and I know you've got something you want to say about it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go through a few points. We all agree Isaac was stupid. No, that's not debated whatsoever. Yep. But 2, calling it a workplace when in reality it's not a normal workplace. Houston allegedly saying to him, you're going to go off on a stretcher. That's not happening in a normal workplace. So don't come up with that one.
Yep.
3, personally saying one word isn't anywhere near as bad as a whole vitriol sentence paragraph.
Yeah.
Paragraph.
So it's not targeted, so to speak. Exactly. It's more of just a frustration. Yeah, one word. Get away from me. Yep.
Yeah, one word. I think that's a really important point.
Yep.
Look, because previous players who committed these offences weren't big names, the media didn't bother to highlight the penalties. Mm-hmm. And it's taken a star player in finals for it now to be brought out. Now, Finlayson in the first place, if people are kicked, and he got one game.
Yes.
And the same thing with Powell, and that, we wouldn't be in this mess now. And the AFL then to come up with a bit of just increase the penalty, that's never worked in a criminal matter ever. Mm-hmm. So why in the hell are they thinking that was suddenly going to cure the world? Has got me beat.
Would you be supportive of a greater fine?
Yeah, I'm education and a fine.
Yeah.
Education and the fine to be going towards that cause.
Absolutely.
Homophobia, racism, whatever.
Yep, absolutely.
That's how I think it should be run.
Sure.
And it shouldn't be increasing the penalty. Anyone who's outlined immediately is getting enough publicity as it is and the pressure and the mental health. I'm worried about his mental health. He's gone overseas and all that.
Yep.
And look,
he's been, lambasted for doing that. When he just needs to get out of the fishbowl of not only South Australia, but Australia in general. He couldn't walk down the street anywhere in Australia without somebody noticing him.
And I think, too, vitally nowadays, the overwhelming majority don't bat an eyelid on a person's sexuality. It's not like years ago. I've asked 6 gay male and females who all said the same thing. It shows a weakness in the person saying it, but the penalties by the AFL are creating the division and deride. It's not not helping.
Yep.
And I reckon that's pretty important.
It is indeed.
Leaking the information to Eddie Maguire was disgraceful. If that was a legal matter, it would have been dismissed immediately for attempting to influence the jury.
Yep.
AFL just being the moral police in here, yet Snoop Dogg. Now, that's just unbelievable. That may well be the most hypocritical thing ever.
Yep.
And I think overall, for mine, it's just it was
an overreaction.
Massive overreaction, and it's just not been handled well at all.
The AFL this year in general, as in general terms, haven't handled a lot of things very, very well, and I think this is another glaring mistake that they have made. I'm not condoning what Isaac has said, and none of us are condoning it. It's just that they've made a bit of a rod for their back by increasing these penalties and highlighting it more and more and more and more, which is actually what's causing probably more of the problem than what it needs to be.
Yeah, let's be honest. The AFL administratively this year has been just terrible.
Yep.
Absolutely horrendous.
Now, we will talk about it in a little bit, but now what you've got is you've got a powder keg situation that Adelaide and Collingwood are going to walk into, that you're almost going to have to have police on each aisle to be able to monitor it, because it's just going to get out of control.
I can see this potentially being the ugliest game of Aussie rules history.
Yep.
I can see that many fights potentially in the crowd. And
yep.
I'm actually quite happy I won't be going.
Yep.
I just think it's,
Do you think also that because of the final situation, crowds are actually mixed up, whereas during home and away games, generally they have their own segregated section?
Because Collingwood have so many members, it'll actually be a very high Collingwood supporter base. So it may well be nearly a 50-50 game.
Yep.
And I can just see explosive stuff in the crowd.
Yep.
Really can.
And especially if one team gets on top or it gets very, very tight as we go along. Yeah. Do you think Isaac leaving the country was a good thing? I know that media-wise, some questions have been asked, but I think when you talk about the level of scrutiny that he was under, it's probably one of the best things that he could have done.
Yeah, look,
it's damned if you do and damned if you
damned if you don't. Look, and the bit, he's got to address everyone and all that. Again, I would love a couple of the gay people come out and It's no big deal.
Yep.
That's what I really think would actually progress matters far more.
Yep.
And the self-righteous bit, and I think it's also showed in the media who's effectively the AFL puppets.
Yep.
Way a few media people have carried on about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you talk about the AFL integrity unit. Surely the leaking, I mean, basically, what was it, Tuesday night on Footy Classified?
Unbelievable.
Saying that exclusively we've got 5 games, and that was the benchmark from that point onwards.
It's just unbelievable.
Adelaide obviously went into bat and fight for their player, obviously, with all of these things going on in the background. Do you think that was a good look for the Crows as well?
Yeah, I'm mixed on that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that, but I'm still not happy with the way Tex Walker was hung out to dry by the Adelaide Football Club.
Yep.
And that, I think that could have been done far better. Yep. They didn't back him like that.
Yep.
So.
Do you think, one last one on this one, mate, Isaac coming back on Thursday night for this game is a good thing or a bad thing?
I can understand why he want to be there, but, geez, good luck him getting through the crowd. And, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, even him walking across the field is going to be... I
think they'll have him... I think someone will bring him in and he'll go in the back lifts and that side of things.
Yeah, but the cameras are going to be scanning the crowds looking for it. This is the problem.
It's going to be a nightmare.
And I know, yes, we do. We're part of the media, I suppose, with our podcasting, and we talk about it, and everyone's interested in it. But we're part of the problem, aren't we, when it comes to that kind of situation? Everyone wants to be first.
Yeah, and I say there, look, obviously we haven't got as much influence as the main media, but, geez, I wish I'd researched on the players early in the year and actually had said, no, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
So you don't sound hypocritical now that you're just sticking up because you barrack for Adelaide crap. No, I would have said this with anyone.
Last one on the AFL, mate, and this might be quite controversial. There might be some people that agree with me totally. Has the AFL gone completely woke?
You're going overboard.
Yep. They're
AFL,
trying to appease too many.
Run the game. Don't be the moral police.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And I've copped it this week in another way.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous.
Yep. The moral side of things, the political side of things should stay out of sport entirely. So totally agree with that. All right, mate, let's move on from that. Harley Reid signs for 2 years, and so does Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira, mate. That was actually some good news amongst some of the chaos that was last week.
I don't think I've ever seen a player basically just back himself in, and it was quite amusing that his price just kept going up week by week.
Yep.
And the end of that game against Melbourne, while Melbourne's last minute and a half may well be the worst defensive football I've ever seen, but he was incredible as well. Yep. And might as well rung the cash register at the end of the game. And
the way he set that up.
Yeah. Yep. It's another $200,000 a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they just had to keep him. They had to do whatever they could in the end. Look, I don't think it's a smart business model that they've invested over 20% of the salary cap on 2 players.
Yep. We'll talk about Tom DeConing in a little minute, mate. Do you think Adelaide or Port Adelaide were a realistic chance, or is this part of the reason why he's only signed 2 years, that he just wants to let things settle down for a little bit and then maybe look at the bigger picture come 2 years' time?
Yeah, I think so. It's an interesting one because the word was out weeks ago he was going to sign for 2 more years, and then he didn't. No worry, St Kilda were worried that he wasn't going to sign.
Yep.
So, yeah, he kept his... I don't think I've ever seen anyone manage to keep their cards so close to their chest and not let anything out and just kept dominating.
Yep.
Like, it'll be really interesting on Brownlow night. You may well see him get 18 votes for the last 6 games.
I was about to say,
like
the last 10 games, he certainly was
ridiculous.
Well and truly up there. Harley Reid, an interesting one over at West Coast, hasn't fully arrived at his potential yet, but Matt Rao is sort of in the same boat at Gold Coast, wasn't he, when he first went there, and it took him a couple of years
to
establish himself.
More injury. He dominated. Let's remember, he got 9 Brownlow votes in his first 3 games.
Yep.
And then injuries got in the way.
Yeah, but Reid was better last year than he was this year.
I think so. I think injuries as well, though, and that.
Yep.
I think this year's probably I think there was more of a gap between his good and his bad.
Yep.
And that.
Is that coaching? Because Adam Simpson could recognise that and might have pulled some levers that helped.
Maybe.
Whereas McQualter, being a first-year coach, may not have.
It's also what he's playing with.
Yep.
Geez, it's pretty hard being 19, 20 and he was he wasn't either side to some extent.
Yep.
So,
West Coast draft hand this year looks reasonably good with the Oscar Allen departure, heading obviously to Brisbane. Compensation for that will be probably in the top 5 picks.
I think so. I think they'll end up with 1 and 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this leads me to my next point is that should they be getting a priority pick along with that they've got to use in some way to trade?
Yeah, I reckon if it's one, it's got to be at the end of the first round. It can't be another one. They can't effectively be given 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
You're rewarding stuff-ups too, so I'm mixed on that.
Well, that ties into what I was going to talk about a little bit later on. We'll talk about it now, is the whole father-son and academy picks, is that you're almost sort of diluting the drafts, like you've said, for mistakes that have happened.
Yeah.
The academy picks and father-son, yes, you are diluting the picks a little bit to try and keep that romance alive in having players from your region or your family name continue at one club. But clubs should have to bid on that rather than actually just be given it or
I think so.
being allowed opportunities to allow that to happen. So it's going to be an interesting one. All right, let's talk about some trade options, mate. I haven't got a bell. I need to add a bell to the soundboard here. Maybe we can do that next week as well. But trade options and targets. Sydney would have to be going a million miles an hour at Charlie Curnow.
Yep.
Is that a realistic opportunity, considering Carlton have come out today saying absolutely no way, we're not trading? Or is it a case of you may need to get 2 or 3
when
clubs
there's smoke,
involved?
there's fire generally with that. So just wait and see.
Yep. Players that request a trade generally get to go.
Yeah.
Is it hard for a club to hold on to a player that doesn't necessarily want to be there?
Yes and no. Ryan O'Keefe wanted out. Sydney went no, made him stay, and he ended up winning the Norm Smith. So the bit where, no, if a player wants out, you got to let him go. No, I don't agree with that.
Yep.
No. You signed a contract.
Yep.
I've got no problem with that.
Players
swallow their pride.
Are Carlton better with Curnow and McKay in that side? Because
that's a hard one. That's debatable.
Yep.
Like their record of gelling together isn't great over the years. You're more with that than me. But
absolutely.
Certainly a question mark, isn't it?
Well, it's a worry for me is that both of them are basically the alpha and want to be the alpha, and when they're leading to the same spots, that's either a communication breakdown on ground or is that a coaching communication? And I think it's a bit of both.
Bit of both. Look, and that's where Taylor Walker is still so vital. Darcy Fogarty, he's the one who needs Walker out there. His form without Walker, and even that game in WA ran to the wrong spot a few times. He looked
lost.
Headless. He needs Taylor Walker.
Yep. An interesting watch there. And Taylor, obviously, we'll talk about that in Adelaide in a minute, in celebrating, obviously, his 300th game. We've got a couple more hot topics to roll through. The Western Bulldogs would be hard done by for not making the finals after a 14-win season.
Yeah, they're unlucky in that regard, but with their top-end talent, they should have made the finals.
Yep.
Like, they've got 5 members in the All-Australian squad.
Yes.
And yet
and
they
Brisbane have got, 5? Adelaide have got 4, maybe 5 as well.
Adelaide have 5 as well.
Yep. So you'd have to say that their best is good enough, but their bottom end is probably not quite good enough. And that's going to be the challenge for Luke Beveridge moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, they do lack a key defender. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, absolutely. Just going back to the trades quite quickly, Draper to the Crows or Brisbane or stay at Essendon?
I still think he'll end up at Brisbane. But again, how do you keep managing to fit people like this in the salary cap?
Yep.
It's got me back.
Yeah, well, Geelong are talking about offering farms at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a piece of land up on the up in Queensland there that might be up for grabs. With the potential rule changes, it might be that a second ruck is actually needed. So this is where I think someone like an Adelaide or Brisbane could actually benefit from having that second ruck, couldn't they?
Yeah, I think with it, it's going to be 23, no sub next year. So yeah, I do see 2 rucks coming into play more.
Do you think that's why Adelaide sort of pulled the trigger on Riley O'Brien maybe a touch earlier, or do you think they've got wind that Draper's probably leaning one way rather than their way?
Not sure.
Or is it a case of hedging their bets,
I think.
If things work out, then we've got 2 ruckmen. If they don't work out, we've got 1 ruckman who's already here. But
plus still Thorpe.
we've got Thilthorpe as well, exactly right. Who is underrated as a ruckman and probably underused a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He's a good ruckman.
He is a very good ruckman. Mate, the All-Australian squad has been named. Who do you think is in your team and who's the unlucky one to miss out? That's probably the easiest one, is who's unlucky to miss out.
I think from the squad of 44, I was surprised Wilkie missed out from St Kilda. I thought he was the glaring one there.
Yep.
Very unlucky. Like he actually made the team of 22 from the AFL Riders, and to miss on the squad of 44 was a big surprise.
Absolutely. Jordan Dawson obviously flagged as potentially captain. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
I would think so. Now, stuff's gradually starting to come out tonight now at the moment. Now, one thing which has happened so far, Geelong's Sean Manor has been named the AFL Coaches Association Best Young Player. The 28-year-old was eligible for the award as it's presented to a player based on his performances across his first 2 seasons. So it's a bit ambiguous, that one.
But doesn't that fall into the Rising Star nomination?
Yeah, I just find that...
Because I thought it was the first 2 years of the Rising Star.
No, that's also age-based.
It is age-based as well. There you go.
And Noah Anderson and Bailey Smith have tied for the AFC Champion Player of the Year awards.
Okay.
It's an interesting one.
It is. Dan Curtin, obviously one of the nominations from Adelaide for the Rising Star. Where do you see him falling into that? His last probably 12 to 14 weeks were very, very good. But
Reed's really finished strong for Fremantle.
Yep. I think statistically, he is number one.
Yeah, Reed, Ashcroft, Curtin for mine.
Okay, these are your top 3.
It could be in any order, but I'll bet if I'm forced to pick someone now, I'll go Reed.
Okay, well, I'm on the same boat. I think it'll be Reed, but I reckon Curtin will be number 2. I don't think Ashcroft will actually feature in the top 3 or 4 on the basis that
he's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, but he's also been the linchpin between that defensive forward 50, and it's only that Lachie Neal's gone out that he's got his run in the middle and actually excelled. So,
no, I still think he's been. I reckon he's the most consistent of the 3, but probably not as game changing.
Well, Curtin changed a few games, as
that's
well, and that's why,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think Ashcroft's been as game changing as the other 2, but he's probably been across the whole year the most consistent one. But I'm Reed.
Yep. Here's a bit of a question without notice. Out of those 3 there, because all 3 will be playing finals, which is the one most likely to potentially rip it up?
Well, obviously, I hope Dan Curtin. So,
obviously. Yeah. But logically, Reed. Yep. For me, it's just on Lachie Neal. If he doesn't quite come up for finals,
potentially
they've got an opportunity to unleash another gun up there in Brisbane as well. Early predictions for the finals, mate. For the week 1, I know we'll record next week before the actual week, and we'll know who's in, who's out. But what are your early thoughts, mate, on Adelaide v Collingwood?
Hope I'm wrong, but I think the loss of Rankin's too important. Personally,
yep.
I think that's just vital.
It's going to be interesting. Reports coming out today that Max Michelani might be playing up forward as a bit of a tagging role for Dacos, who or potentially use him in that role. Is that a good thing, or would you prefer him down back?
I don't mind where Max plays.
As long as he plays.
Yeah, as long as he plays.
Fair enough.
He's a gun.
Yep. Geelong v Brisbane Lions.
If in doubt, go the home side, but Brisbane have been the best travelling side, so honestly, that's a toss the coin. I don't like that Geelong have had such an easy run in. I'm not convinced that's great.
Yes.
That, they've played all the bottom teams.
Yep.
So
do you think
toss the coin? Yeah, but I do give Brisbane a huge chance.
Yep. Do you think the small scare along the way is good? I mean, Adelaide weren't exactly setting the world on fire against West Coast, and I'm sure the mental week that they went through with the Rankin saga and everything else and media camping and everything like that
I think they did what they had to against.
That's what I think too. Collingwood were the same against Melbourne. They really had to sort of dig deep, and Melbourne gave it a red-hot crack.
Oh, Melbourne had their chances in that. Collingwood are very lucky to end up making the top 4.
Yep.
Considering they were 2.5 games in front at one stage on the top of the ladder.
Yep.
Now, they've only won 2 of their last 7, and fell in that last one.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. Howe's going to be a big loss for them as well. So Brisbane
Although
for me at
Howe's
this early
hardly
stage.
played any footy for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. GWS v Hawthorn. This one's probably, I think, the game of the round as far as...
I'm a bit that way. That's the game of the round.
Adelaide and Collingwood has all sorts of disaster written all over it for everything.
So many reasons,
it's exactly right. I think the Geelong Brisbane game is more of they're going to be feeling each other out a little bit as to where everyone sits. But this one here for me is probably the one that I can't split either way.
Yeah, exactly. It is really a nightmare game to tip. I want to see the sides.
Absolutely. That's why I thought I'd throw it in a week out, see what's what, but we know the sides. And then last night, obviously, with Gold Coast winning, they will take on Freo over in Freo. You mentioned there's, 60,000 seat stadium. Gold Coast will get over there in numbers, so you're probably looking at about 55-odd Fremantle screaming fans.
Yeah, at least.
How does Dimmer approach this?
It's a free hit, really. Guys get out there. But then I think deep down he'd be going, geez, we should have made the top 4.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
It's
going to be an interesting one, mate. A couple of last ones. Port... Well, let's start off with Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide send off some of their club stalwarts in style against Gold Coast, who, sort of put them in a bit of a precarious position there, but wasn't it good to see a bit of a smile on Bokey's face and Kenny's face, considering all the upheaval?
41,000 there too. So I think that showed the respect Travis Boakes held in him. I know a few guys who went who aren't Port supporters just to
pay their respects.
Respects to Boakes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's been a wonderful store for the Port Adelaide Football Club. Just going back to some of those AFL topics, I should have mentioned this before, is that it's the first time since 2004 that we've actually got finals being played in every state in Australia that has a team. So, and guess what? Port Adelaide won that premiership, so is it a good omen for the Crows maybe? We'll see.
The moral police don't think so.
Fair enough. All right, let's get back to Port Adelaide, mate. Josh Carr era has begun. He hasn't wasted any time in a series of delistings and retirements, especially in the first few days, considering exit interviews have pretty much only just happened in the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, they didn't muck around. No. Hugh Jackson was the surprise one for a lot of Port people.
Yep.
When you get someone like Timmy G, totally stunned about him getting the flick. Yeah. So
is it a case of that they might be using him to re-rookie him?
That's a chance, you would think.
But
so
you throw him out on the open market, there's a good chance that he might go. What about McEntee?
Yeah, look,
inconsistent?
Yeah, just not consistent enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clearly listening to David Koch, I heard a little excerpt, I think it was on 5AA, talking about that he's got a certain style of player that he's looking at. Is that hard-edged, non-wavering type of player that he's looking at?
Yeah, I think so. I think judging him at North Adelaide in 18, I reckon they might be a bit more attacking.
Okay. So do you think that the spine of Port Adelaide is probably relatively set and they'll be reasonably active in the trade market or bring in the free agent market with some more experienced players rather than go down the youth track?
Depends what's available, your salary cap, how much is Butters. You're committing to try and keep Butters. And, so there's a lot of water under the bridge there.
That leads me to my next point, is Zach Butters' drama won't go away. That Hawthorn are going to be circling. They've certainly got some money in the salary cap, apparently.
Bug it out.
Same with Geelong. They've got some money in the salary cap as well. Is it a case of that if they are going to go down this track that, get something for him now rather than wait 12 months? Or does it give 12 months of audition for Carr to get things right?
Yeah, if for a new coach, you'd be desperate to keep him, wouldn't you? You can imagine you lose your best player.
Yep. That's
One
why
of your best 3.
That's why I ask, is the spine of Port Adelaide relatively set as far as what he's thinking?
I don't know. It'll just be really interesting. He has said that he's going to honour his contract as well. Now, admittedly, that doesn't mean much nowadays.
Houston said the same thing at this time last year until they got knocked out of the finals, and that was it.
Yeah, so let's wait and see.
It's going to be a very interesting watch. Is this a rebuild, or are they looking to rebuild on the go? That's the $64 million question, but certainly getting rid of, not getting rid of, in their exit interviews delisting players, it seems like that they've got a plan in place, and
I think it's on the go. Like Whitlock, yeah, he's already made the point. He's in the gym from this week, so good on the lad for that.
Yep.
Whitlock, Georgiades, you get Marshall back. If you can get Lukosius fit, all of a sudden there's a bit there to work with. I really like Harry Rand, who debuted last game.
Yep.
Did a good job on King. I think he's got a lot to work with. So I think there's a bit there, but I'd be surprised if they lifted a huge amount. I don't think they'll make the 8 next year, but someone always does. There's always a bolter. Adelaide finished 15th last year.
We're going to talk about that in a minute as well, as obviously one of the big risers there. Port Adelaide, where do you see them going from here, not only from the AFL point of view, but the SANFL point of view?
I admit I haven't heard much around the traps on that. Might try and do a bit of delving on that one.
Follow that one up next week. I'll add that to my list for next week. All right, let's move over to Adelaide. Adelaide have been the form team of 2025, like you mentioned just a minute ago, rising from 15th up to 1st on the ladder. They've made every post to win it, but I had this feeling probably 8 to 10 weeks ago that Adelaide need everything to go right and everybody to be on the park for it to happen. Couple of injuries late in the season, the Rankin suspension.
Oh, it's the Rankin.
It sort of throws a spanner in the works, but do they have the depth to be able to cover some of that loss, not all of it?
I don't think so. I really don't. And Michael, I think, is vital to come back. I think Pedler could be still important.
Yep. What about Rochelle? He's probably the one that not many people are thinking about.
Geez, he's missed some football. At least Michael Annie's missed him. He's missed a month, but apparently he's been hammered on the track the last couple of weeks, and we know how good his touch is in general. So it will be interesting to see what they do with him. Now they played. Let's be honest, they played Lockie Murphy on Dacos the last game, and he was okay defensively.
Yep.
Didn't do anything offensively.
Yep.
But if Michael Annie goes to that spot, that does improve Adelaide. Just the footy smarts and that side of things.
Yep. Where do Adelaide go from there as far as tagging someone like a Dacos?
I think Peatling will be the one for Nick Dacos.
Yep.
So that's the way they tend to go. And I think Peatling will be in charge of him at ball ups. It's not so much a hard tag after that as how Adelaide adopt it. Whether Michael Annie could be used to potentially a bit in that role as well, I think's interesting.
Do you see Thilthorpe spending a little bit more time in the ruck?
Look, Cameron annihilated O'Brien early. To O'Brien's credit, he did come back that night. While Cameron still got the points, I will give O'Brien that he did fight back that night. And look, I thought the stats on the night, when we heard afterwards they'd had 34 more inside 50s, it didn't feel like that watching. I reckon a lot of those entries were pretty shallow. I'd rather have a bit. Why not have the stat as a deep inside 50 as well?
Yep.
I reckon would have been telling in that.
Did Collingwood take the game on like they did in the first quarter?
I think they will.
Yep. And Adelaide need to be awake to that because they weren't last time.
Yeah, they won't want to get 5 goals behind again.
Yep. Adelaide obviously celebrating Tex Walker's 300th game, as we talked about just before, in that he has been a stalwart of the club, but they also farewell a former club champion in Matty Crouch.
Yeah, and he retired immediately. Obviously, apparently it's on doctor's advice because you would have thought he would have tried to play the year out. Well, just in case someone got it injured and you'd be a chance to come in. So you can't be great.
Yep. So. A little bit worse than what we first thought.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's not good. Does Adelaide look at someone like Sam Flanders as a potential midfield depth player that they desperately need?
I think they'd be hunting around again. I don't think there's any doubt they'd be sifting around to see what's available.
Would you say that
they recruited well last year, so let's wait and see.
I was just about to say, would you say that the 3 that they brought in last year, one obviously fell into the lab with Neil Bullen, but the other 2 they were quite targeted with, has made them a better side?
It's given them more depth.
If you have a look at the top 8 sides and who's brought in, I think there was a little stat brought up about the, I suppose, the garnish of these top 8 teams in what they've been able to bring in to improve them. Is it a case of Adelaide need 1 or 2 more maybe?
I do think they're a midfielder short, especially without Rankin. But If Rochelle, and that's the other thing, Adelaide haven't had many injuries this year. They've been pretty lucky in that regard. Yes, they've lost. Rochelle's been a big out.
Yep.
And Michael Annie a huge out also for the last month. But overall for the year, they've been very lucky. You wouldn't expect them to be this lucky again next year.
Yeah. Do you stick with someone like Brodie Smith who can
penetrate? I think he's earned another year. I really do. I wouldn't have said that at the start of the year, but I think he's probably his best year for 3 or 4 years.
Would you play him in the finals?
Yes. I think he'll be
I would
sub.
too, yeah.
I think he'll be sub.
See, I don't know about him being sub, but...
I think they love him as sub because he can come on, kick over the line and play in a number of spots.
Yep. So. Well, strategically, it's very, very good. I totally understand where you're coming from there. Last one on the top 8. It's anybody's, top 8 at the moment. It doesn't matter where you're seated. Yes, home finals do play a little bit of a part and double chances do play a little part. But any one of these 8 teams could win it.
Any one of the 9 could have.
Well, that's true. Well, 10 really if you include Sydney, if they had another 2 or 3 weeks up their sleeve, that's for sure. Yeah. Look, we're going to forecast out there who outside of the top 8 could make the jump next year. Sydney, Bulldogs or St Kilda at this early stage. Bit of fun to finish us off for our first.
I think both the Bulldogs and Sydney are genuine chances to rocket.
Yep.
To go up.
Do you think with all the influx at St Kilda, it could cause some teething problems?
I think so. And as I said, we've covered that to a little bit of an extent.
Yep.
Geez, you've invested a lot of money in TDK for mine.
Yep. Is that something, we didn't talk about it earlier, we should talk about it quickly. Is that something that they're paying way overs to get him out?
Way overs.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting watch. All right, mate, let's take a very, very quick break. We've already gone well and truly over time here. Coming up. The cricket up in the top end was a success, and I think Cricket Australia should jump on it. And Norwood make the finals. Who would have thought after a 0-5 start? The Adelaide 36ers get their campaign underway in the NBL Blitz.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
A dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
And as per usual, we thank our sponsors for helping us out as well.
Definitely.
So fantastic. All right, mate, let's move on to the cricket. The top end experiment is a winner with Cricket Australia. Great to see some large crowds. Should it be used a lot more? It had that sort of home ground type feeling about it rather than a big stadium full of half empty.
Yeah, look, the atmosphere looked great, and Scotty Galpin was up for one of the games. I can't remember now whether it's 2020 or one day, and he said it was fantastic.
Yep.
So, 2020 it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is to be researched, and look, Australia are a bit disappointing in the one days.
Yep.
Losing the one day series 2-1, and then the ridiculous scoreline in the last game where they smashed the crap out of them everywhere.
Yep.
So that was a little bit disappointing. But, look, I think it was more give the top end, some high quality sport.
The weather's reasonably nice
Yeah.
up there. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
We did talk about the Redbacks last year in heading up there and doing a little bit of a preseason camp with Rhino when we had Rhino on.
Yeah.
It's the perfect opportunity to get some cricket in at this time of the year.
Definitely.
Content obviously is huge. You can watch it from anywhere these days, or on your phone, or TV and KO and all those kind of streaming platforms. It's something to look at. SA Cricket is back, just ramping up their premiership defence title or championship defence title.
Yeah, did catch up with Rhino a couple of weeks ago. He'd been a guest speaker at Payneham, and he happened to wander over to the Payneham Tavern, so did spend a bit of time there. And he's pretty confident that we're going to be okay again. And as always, speaking very well. So
absolutely. What do we expect from SA this year? They will be the hunted this year rather than the hunters.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit different, but just hopefully now that it's got a bit more belief. And
well, that was going to be my question. Do you think the confidence and knowing that they've been there and done that can actually happen again?
Yeah, and I think we've got a very good leader. Nathan McSweeney is a captain too. I think it's a very good captain.
Yep.
Apart from he underbowls himself.
There you go. Maybe speak to Rhino next time you see him about getting the bowling change happening.
I may have made that point once or twice.
Maybe. Day one of the Ashes has been officially sold out in Perth. I saw that come across the wires today as well. What do we expect from the Ashes? I think this is going to be a absolute humdinger of a series, isn't it?
It's huge. Look, as much as I hate to say it, I fancy England with their batting depth compared to ours at the moment. Whether they can bowl Australia out is going to be the interesting one. Look, there's so many question marks over their quicks. If Archer and Wood stand up,
then Australia in trouble.
I think we're in big trouble. But whether they can get through and play 3 out of 5 is big question marks as well.
And England using the Kookaburra over in England there. What are your thoughts on that? Is that a very good strategic move?
Yeah, both countries have tried it. We've used the Duke in Shield games as well. And that, so I see no. I think it's fair while to trial it.
Absolutely, and especially with pitches being a little bit different these days, or countries specifically doctoring pitches for their needs. It'll be a very interesting watch, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to the SANFL. Before we talk about Norwood, obviously making the finals, congratulations to Josh Franco, who has actually been appointed North Adelaide coach for the next 2 years today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how he'll go. I reckon it's bloody hard coaching your own kids and that. So I think there's going to be 3 Francos at there. Yeah.
Well, is it the
Good
same?
luck.
Is it the same situation with Silvani potentially going to St Kilda and leaving Carlton? Because his old man's obviously part of
I think that might be one reason why he doesn't go to St Kilda.
That's what I think too, yeah. It's an interesting one. Obviously, Josh Franco's been at North Adelaide previously, obviously as a player, but also did a small stint as a coach. What does he bring back to North Adelaide in all of his travels with, Adelaide? He's been assistant coach at Gold Coast and...
There is someone else.
There is, yeah.
He's been around the traps.
Yep.
Out of that, he's a ferocious competitor. Also, it's going to be a year we can recruit and that, as we know. And SANFL is such a changing landscape every year.
SANFL put out a survey, I think, today. I read this online about any changes anyone would like to make, basically just throwing it out there for any ideas. Mate, if there's one thing you could change right now, what would it be?
Increasing the salary cap.
Yep.
But whether clubs can afford that is the other debatable point there as well.
My one would be to try and either start the season a little bit earlier, like an Escort Cups sort of scenario where you have a night series where you rotate it around for a few weeks and at least get the season off when we're all dying for a little bit of footy, bit of night footy at the parade or at Unley. Or
that was still where I think where it's crazy where they changed the female season.
This is why
never understand.
This is why I'm sort of bringing it up, is that you might as well take advantage of that time there.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about Norwood, mate. Norwood make the finals. Who would have thought it being 0-5? They at least get a chance to compete against the Bulldogs who have had their measure this year.
Yeah, Finn Herb was exceptional,
He was.
especially after half time. It was one of the all-time great performances. Like, he was best on ground by a mile.
Yep.
Thank goodness. Yeah, I'm glad he got off because the suspension was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Well, there was so much flying around about it. I was confused whether it was 1 week, 2 weeks, or $125 fine.
Was $125
in the
fine,
end, yes.
And that's what it should have been to start with.
Yep.
It was not well done by the SANFL, that one.
Yep. Norwood obviously getting up over the arch rivals in Port Adelaide. Nice to get one over the old enemy. But
well, especially when Port was 6 goals up too, and well and truly looked the better side. I think Norwood didn't. I think Norwood took them a bit lightly, which was, I think, Norwood getting ahead of themselves to think they've got the right to take any team lightly.
Yep. Is it a case of that Port Adelaide did what they did the night before against Gold Coast and sort of rolled on with that?
A little bit
of emotion early in the game, and then it wore off.
Well, especially Rory Atkins dominated early.
Yep.
Because I admit the night before I was hoping for a Port player to be injured before half time, so then Atkins wouldn't be able to play.
Yep. Which they did that a couple of weeks ago, didn't they?
Yeah, if you play over a half, you can't play.
Yep.
Which again, it used to be that you couldn't play at all.
Yep.
So again, it's another rule which has come in to help the AFL sides out.
Yep. It's a bit different if you're playing another AFL side. It's totally different if you're playing in a totally different competition against other teams. Anyway, so that's that. All right, mate. Norwood v Centrals in the first final, elimination final.
See, Centrals have picked Schubert, so I think I'm not sure if he played reserves. I think he's gone straight from the 18s. I think it's his league debut.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting. So I'll toss of the coin, but Centrals did clearly outplay Norwood both times, although Norwood dominated early against Centrals but just didn't put the score on the board at the parade. 50-50 game. I'll go Centrals.
Yeah, he's tossing up the coin.
Yeah, hoping I'm wrong.
There you go. I'm probably in the same boat. I think the larger ground at Adelaide Oval might just suit Centrals a little bit better, but Norwood get a free hit, and realistically, 7, 8, 10 weeks into the season, finals wasn't even on the radar.
I do think Norwood do lack pace too, which is a real worry for Adelaide Oval.
Yep. Is this a good building block for Sheedy for next year potentially?
Hopefully. Hopefully.
And obviously, the other final was Glenelg v Adelaide.
Should be a really good game.
Should be a ripper.
I'll tip Glenelg. Finals experience the last couple of years. Yep. I think if the Crows weren't playing Thursday night, I think Michael Annie would have played.
Yep.
I think they're a bit worried Thursday through, Sunday through to Thursday.
And with an injury coming back from injury. Yep, so, that's totally fair enough.
Yeah. So I think if Adelaide had been Friday,
yep,
whatever, I think he might have played even managed minutes.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Would have been remiss of us not to point this out, that Sturt were going for a bit of a record of undefeated seasons, but Adelaide got them in the last round by a couple of points.
I don't think that'll hurt Sturt whatsoever. I reckon deep down they'd be pretty happy about that. At
sharpens them up a little bit.
Oxford Avenue.
Yep.
Oxford Street. Whatever
yes.
It is.
Yes. Speaking of Sturt, the sanity has prevailed with the fence being approved to go up around Unley Oval.
Common sense.
Common sense, exactly right.
Unbelievable.
Well done to the Unley Council on that one there, and
on
also
a few things lately.
Yeah, Sue Dewing and her team, obviously at Unley Oval, that have been fighting for it. They do spend a lot of money and time on temporary fences for games. Wouldn't it be easy just to lock them off at 10:30 in the morning, knowing that they've got a reserves game and a league game, and away they go.
Should happen ages ago.
Yep, absolutely. Well done to Sturt on that one there. All right, let's move on to the 36ers, mate. They were on court for the first time last night. Signs are looking pretty good that they got the job done against the reigning champs in the Illawarra Hawks, and that was without a couple of their stars as well.
Yeah, it's just going to be just see how they gel. Look, on paper, they should be more than competitive.
Well, them and the Sydney Kings certainly look like the two that are going to be the draw cards, that's for sure. Yeah. The NBL released their draw. The Adelaide 36ers have 4 out of the first 5 games at home. The Entertainment Centre is going to be rocking.
They'll all be sellouts pretty quickly too.
Yep. I know they keep talking about building a bigger stadium, but where does it end?
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Because if they do have a bit of a drop, well, then you're back down to 10, 15, 20,000 rather than 30,000. So
hopefully they do it better than Ticketek does anyway.
Tickets, yes, hard to come by, that's for sure. The NBL Blitz gets off as a promising start against the Hawks, but do you think this sort of pre-season competition that they've got going where everybody's in one location is probably the blueprint for some sort of modified rules to bring in at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's a good idea. Look, pre-season, I never take pre-season form overly over the top. But yeah, I think it's good.
Absolutely. All right, mate, we better get off to another quick break. Coming up on Friday, we got Jake Lehmann Part 2 this Friday. And Greg Edwards Part 2 as well, which we're a little bit behind on a few of those, but we've got it all sorted out now.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking to buy or sell your home anywhere in Adelaide, from the hills to the sea? Meet Gary KRIEVS, your dedicated local agent from OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. With unparalleled knowledge of Adelaide's housing market and a commitment to exceptional service, Gary ensures a smooth and stress-free experience for all your real estate needs. Trust the expert, trust Gary KRIEVS at OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. Your next dream home awaits. Contact Gary today on 0422 071 317 or on email garyk@ocre.com.au. And for more listings, please visit owenscasserly.com.au. Make it happen.
Flashbacks.
Prosciutto, here comes Welsh. Couldn't quite take it on the second grab. Burns had it and lost it. Marsh tries to find his teammate there, and Jarman does well. Rolls the shoulders and kicks a goal. Magnificent play by Darren Jarman.
Great play here, just smart, balance up, doesn't panic under pressure. That's what quality players do. They only see goals or their teammates, they don't see opposition. Very, very good play.
Smothered off the boot of Harvey and Ricochet, still inside the centre square. But he bounced, Pickett came through, he bounced too.
Getting some attention there from the train. That's the bump.
A bit of body contact there.
And that's a hard surface to come down on too.
Who'll forget his 6-goal haul last year in the grand final? Kicking from 40 metres. They are desperate for this, the Crows, and he's given it to them. It's up. Here they go again. Kane Johnson lets one go. It's long. Barney! Couldn't take the mark. It doesn't matter because Jarman is there. And Jarman is back too.
You almost smell it now. Johnson into the path of McLeod. Surges away from the centre. Kicks inside the 50. Jarman inspired. South Australia holds its collective breath. Darren Jarman kicks for goal. And he's kicked it.
Extra time. Big finish.
All right, mate, we continue on with flashbacks with Darren Jarman, and boy, oh boy, how good was that pass from McLeod just to lace him out in that grand final.
Yes, yeah, pretty special.
Absolutely. All right, mate, let's move on with some extra time big finish topics. The Adelaide Crows in the AFLW, and we don't mean to push this to the back of the queue, so to speak, because realistically, the AFLW should be getting top billing a little bit at the moment, but it's just where they've fixtured it, and I think we've talked about that in previously. But the Adelaide have split their first two rounds with a reasonably impressive performance in their last game, kicking...
Well, it's the last quarter. They kicked 7 goals in the last quarter.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible score in your 20-odd minute quarter, because it's 18 minutes plus time on per goal, sort of thing. So, yeah, pretty incredible quarter, because Geelong outscored them the other 3 quarters of the game. So
St Kilda.
No, Geelong on
Geelong,
the weekend.
yep.
Yeah, Geelong on the weekend. They lost to St Kilda.
That's right, in round one.
Yeah.
Adelaide, trying to do things a little bit differently this year with the Matty Clark situation. Is there anybody that they might earmark to take on that role, or someone within the organisation already?
Haven't heard anything at all on that side of things.
All right, let's talk about some of the results very, very quickly. Collingwood getting up over the Giants by 8 points.
Go Violet Patterson.
Yes. Melbourne getting up over St Kilda by 74 points.
Yes. They're pretty hard to beat the D's. They're going to be around the mark as well.
Absolutely. Sydney getting up by 82 points over the Suns.
Yes, and a Zippy Fish. What an incredible
That's
name.
fantastic.
It is. That's it. Won the Rising Star this week too, I think.
There you
Zippy.
go. Absolutely. Brisbane Lions getting up over Fremantle by 70 points. Again, these teams that have been around for a little bit longer than some of the others, certainly dominating.
Yeah, they're a bit one-sided, the scorelines, I think, it's a bit of a worry.
Yep. Hawthorn getting up over Carlton by 8 points.
Yeah.
Western Bulldogs getting up by 21 points. The Kangaroos getting the job done against Port Adelaide by 72 points. Essendon by 5 points over the West Coast Eagles. And as we said, Adelaide getting up by 35 points. So
Kangaroos are the team to beat still.
They are indeed, that's for sure. All right, round 4, quick tips, mate. Who we got here first? Melbourne v Richmond.
Melbourne.
Gold Coast v Giants.
Gold Coast.
Giants for me. Carlton v Western Bulldogs.
Western Bulldogs.
Hawthorn v St Kilda.
Hawthorn.
Sydney v Fremantle.
Sydney.
Adelaide v Brisbane.
No, Adelaide or what? I reckon Adelaide or what? I reckon we've got the wrong
Sorry, I might be
thing.
one week ahead. Sorry, my apologies. Let's start again.
Yeah.
Richmond v Essendon.
Richmond.
Essendon for me.
Yeah, sorry, Essendon.
Essendon, yep.
Apologies.
GWS v Adelaide.
Adelaide.
Adelaide for me. Good luck to Grace Martin
Yes.
as well from
Yes. Go Grace.
GWS. St Kilda v West Coast.
West Coast.
St Kilda for me.
Yeah, top score.
Geelong v Sydney.
Sydney.
Sydney for me. Port Adelaide v the Suns.
Suns.
Port Adelaide for me. West Coast v Hawthorn. Western Bulldogs v Hawthorn.
Western Bulldogs.
Hawthorn for me. Collingwood v Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Freo v North.
North.
North for me. And Brisbane v Carlton.
Brisbane.
Brisbane for me as well. All right, mate, one last one. Are you a fan of keeping the AFLW teams at local suburban grounds?
Yes.
And at their own suburban grounds?
Yeah, sorry. I think it's got to be a boutique environment, effectively.
Yep.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is that a couple of weeks ago, and I think we might have just touched base on it, is that they're looking to bring them together and have them at 3 or 4 locations. But I think part of the mystique about the AFLW is actually getting back to your grassroots club.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a huge mistake if they do change it. All right, mate, let's move on to basketball. NBA, NBA. Josh Giddey hasn't signed with Chicago yet. Why isn't it, considering his sort of demand, considering his stats are really high?
I don't know if he's asking to. It's weird.
It's a crazy one. You got a player within your organisation that obviously has got the stats to back it up. I just can't see why it doesn't work, and it just seems like a bit of a Mexican standoff to me. All right, let's talk soccer. We haven't really heard too much from Adelaide United yet, but what do we expect from the Reds
I think
this
a real
year?
worry. Yeah, I think it doesn't sound like enough's come in.
So it's
I
a
know
development year?
Goodwin's back, but the other Goodwin's left, so 1 for 1 there, considering he was the leading scorer last year, so it's a big out. I'm not confident on him.
Okay.
Hope I'm wrong, but not confident.
Are they backing their development more than bringing in top line players?
I think it's time to get Mary back on the show.
There you go. Let's talk Mary. I like it. Let's talk NRL. A betting scandal rocks the NRL with player being charged by police. Sports and spot betting is always going to be tempting, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a couple of spot betting stories where I won't go there just in case legally, but it's It's a worry.
It is a bit of a worry. Obviously, the 2020 or 2021 AFL betting scandal has reared its ugly head once again.
We're going
as
to hear
well.
more about that.
We will indeed, as the finals go on. All right, let's talk tennis very quickly. The US Open, some upsets and some upset players as tensions boil over on the men's and women's side. Did you see the photographer that walked out onto the court during match point? And then Medvedev absolutely losing the plot and basically taking out a racket and whatever it was in his way where he was sitting.
Incredible.
It is. Even a couple of the women getting a bit lippy towards each other as far as...
fiery?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But Australia's sort of finishing off the year on a high. A couple of players that have had some very positive results, especially some of the veterans that have been around for quite some time.
Yeah, promising start.
Yep. It always bodes well when it comes to us looking towards the Australian Open, which is obviously in January.
Yep.
The US Open is a little bit of a measuring stick, I suppose, when it comes to that. All right, mate, to finish things off, this will make golfers very, very happy, but even the best players in the world make it impossible to make it look easy. Rory McIlroy chips out of a bunker. I've shown you the video.
Yeah, incredible.
Hits one of the corporate stands, almost like a Happy Gilmore style shot. He then lands it on the green, not too close to the hole, but then putts it out straight off the bat. It's one of the most incredible shots you'll ever see. Mate, it sort of gives all the golfers, all us hackers, a bit of an opportunity to have a laugh. All right, mate, we haven't done it for a couple of weeks, but the good, the bad, the ugly, let's finish off with that tonight, mate.
Finn Hurd was the good.
It was very good, wasn't it?
The bad and the ugly, for mine, AFL administration. The old couldn't run a piss up in a brewery line.
Yep. Do you see that changing next year?
Geez, we can only hope. Yeah.
We just hope that things haven't gone too far for them to be able to turn it around.
Got a bit of work in front of your house to fix that mess up.
There's the and Swanee as well.
Yes.
If there's one rule, what are you thinking is the one rule that will come in straight away?
Oh, they've got to bring in last disposal.
Between the 50s or for the entire ground?
Yeah, that's debatable. One, I like to leave it for the last bit. I think, which is what they had in the women's comp. I think it's the best rule.
Yep.
That's my preference, but either
it's
way,
too hard to umpire though if you don't make it.
Yeah, if you just make it, at least you know in SANFL what's happening when it goes out of bounds.
Yep.
The umpiring shithouse enough as it is. Let's make one rule where we know what's going on.
Yep. Well, the AFLW moves at a little bit of a slower pace, so it's a little bit easier to control that between the 50s, whereas the AFL moves at lightning speed. So I just think it should be the whole ground, and then everybody knows, and that's how it goes. All right, mate, we are going to leave things there for tonight, mate. Once again, thank you for your time. We thank our sponsors. Please like, rate, subscribe, and keep in contact with us. There has been a few messages floating about on some of the posts that we obviously put online with some of our shorts as well. So please, by all means, comment on that, and we'd love to hear from you and get back to you on any of your hot topics, and we'll bring them up on the show over the next short period. Mate, I thank you once again. Thank everybody for the time, and once again, we'll do better next week.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at SportscastSA. We'll see you next time on Game On.